T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and lift off.
Coach on Fire Radio.
Hi, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of your Journey to Success podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Weiss. I'm a life coach, speaker, author, and of the book, Your Journey to Success, and also the founder of the Greatness Movement based here in Phoenix. The goal here each week is to create a movement of people who are passionate about learning and growing, and they're wanting real answers. They want more than just the superficial buzzwords that are so prevalent in this industry these days. They want to go deeper. They want to live in their greatness. Now, before we get started, I want to touch on something. I got a private message from somebody who was, worried. They're like, I don't mean to monopolize your time. They'd made comments on the show and then afterwards and stuff. And the bottom line is I do this to help people. So don't go there. You don't have to apologize. That's what this whole thing is about. Some people can't afford to hire me. You know, it's just as simple as that. Or maybe they're not ready to hire me. That's the other thing. They're not ready to commit to themselves to make a better life for themselves. And this might be the start for them. So that's why I do it. It's to help people out. So no need to apologize if you take my time. The other thing is I have very good boundaries. When I've had enough, when I feel like I just don't have the reserves, I'll just say no. So it's my job to take care of me. I appreciate you being concerned for me, but that's my job, not yours. So thank you for that. But I'll take care of that. I won't dump that responsibility on you. Now, great news. Hey, Julie, Melissa, good to see you both. The next greatness speech, we're going to be focusing on relationships, why they don't work, and what we can do about it. And that's September 13th. 6:30 p.m. You can find all that information on Eventbrite. Just type in the Greatness Movement and all the details, location, everything are there. So please get your tickets before it sells out. Relationships are big topics. So I encourage everybody to go to Eventbrite right away. Type in the Greatness Movement and you'll see the speech come up, and make sure you get your tickets as soon as possible. Now, don't forget, this is a call-in show. So if you have questions, tonight we're talking about trust. But if you want to talk about anything else, it's very simple. All you have to do is call me on Skype. You can download Skype onto your phone, onto your computer. It doesn't matter. Just search for my name, Kenny Weiss. Push call. I'll get the call here. And whatever your topic is, we'll deal with it. The advantage for those people who call in is I'm going to draw names. And if you saw any of my Facebook posts this week, I'm a pretty damn good cook. So after a couple weeks, I'm going to invite probably 3 or 4 people who have called in, who chose to risk calling in. I'm going to make you dinner right here at my house. So don't miss out on that opportunity. So make sure you do that. So, I had a lot of people wanting me to talk about trust. Hey, Jennifer, thanks for tuning in as well. They're wondering, that trust is such a big issue in relationships. Everyone says, like I was just flipping through, hey, Shannon, good to see you too. Flipping through Facebook while I was waiting to start the show, and you see all these posts, mostly from women. Men feel the same way, they just don't post it. They're talking about trust and reliability in a relationship, and why don't they have it, and why won't men give it, and vice versa. Well, the first thing we have to learn about trust is it's a fallacy. There isn't a single person out there who will be honest with us at all times. It's impossible. And if somebody tells you that they are always honest, run. Literally run. If you're a woman and a man says it, run. If you're a man and a woman says it, run. It's just not true. Hey, Yenny and Paul, thanks for tuning in. Make sure if you guys want to be invited, Beth, thanks for tuning in as well. If you guys want to be invited to dinner, make sure you call me on Skype. But that's one of the fallacies we've all been raised with. Here's one of the problems with trust. We have all been raised on a TV, movie, radio love song diet. All the movies, everything we've ever seen shows this fantasy of what a relationship looks like. And so just flip through Facebook. What people are looking for is an undying love who gives up everything and is always there to support you. Like their posts all the time. Any man who doesn't have your back, or any woman who doesn't have your back at all times, they're not worth it. They'll fall on the sword for you. That's such bullshit. That's not healthy love. That's not true. That's a fantasy. So if that's you, then you better come to the relationship speech on September 13th I'm giving, because that's why you're struggling in love, is you've bought into the fantasy. Now, I don't blame you. Like I said, we don't talk about relationships. We have no other models. So we think that there's a perfectionist ideal out there of that people will somehow be this perfect person. And if they're not, then we must dump them. Well, that's the first thing we have to realize is your trust will be broken. Without hesitation, you have to get that in your head, that in your life, no matter who it is, they will break your trust in some form. That's a part of life, and it's wonderful when they do. It's a wonderful learning opportunity, okay? Now, here's the difficulty. For the people who think that trust, there are tons of people that reach out to me all the time, say, I want to get in a relationship, but I just can't trust anyone. I refuse to risk again. Well, and I'll ask them why is it? And they generally will tell me a story of their ex and how they cheated or hurt them in some way. Well, they're not dealing with the correct issue. It's not their ex. See, our parents, every single parent, broke our trust. That's where we learned all of this, is initially our parents broke our trust. And so, hey, Nicole, good to see you. And Beth as well. So as children, our parents always lie to us. They're always imperfect. They always make a mistake. So what this person who's fearing getting back into a relationship after being hurt, they're making it about the last man or woman, or the succession of men or women that hurt them. Well, they say hurt them. They're making it about that. And that's not the problem. The problem is their trust was broken by their parents. And what they fear from that is they've learned a wall of fear. And so what it is they fear annihilation. Literally. It's because as kids, we have to accept our parents. Hey, Rana, thanks for tuning in. We have to accept our parents no matter what they do, even when they lie to us. And so when our trust is broken as kids, it completely damages us. And so we end up picking that exact same situation. So you men or women who are listening, who are afraid to trust because you've been hurt from your last or previous relationships, I want you to ask yourself one question. How does this remind you of childhood? And how was your childhood? How was your trust broken in childhood? Because you're reliving it. And so what you fear is a self-annihilation, which is what happened to you as a child. Because as kids, we are forced to become who our parents want. None of our parents taught us how to, they never raised us with boundaries. They raised us codependently, not because they're bad people, but because we don't teach any of this. And so they inadvertently suck us dry emotionally or abandon us. And so they break our trust when they do that. And so what's happening is, especially for those that don't Okay, Rana says dad's anger issues. Yes, exactly. So that tells me if Rana's had a father who is very angry, she will probably pick men who are very distant emotionally. They always have some sort of outside intensity, something that's more important to them. Rana is most likely what they'd call a love addict. You'll pick men who are what are called love avoidance, and just don't get hung up on the term addict. Every choice we make is an addictive choice. Me wearing this color purple, you drinking water every day is just an addiction. So call it milk and cheese. Don't get hung up on that. So most likely Rana will pick men who are emotionally unavailable to relive that abandonment and disconnect she experienced with her father. And yeah, she said 2 times now. So that's who she's picked. So what she's trying to do is reconcile the relationship she had with her father through the men she meets. I could put Rana in a room of 10,000 men. Every single one of them would be ready to have a relationship. I'd put one person in there who has anger issues and can't connect, and like radar, literally radar. She'd just bounce off and go, oh, she'd come out of there. There's just something about that guy. I just really connect. The other guys are just boring. See, that's a key for you women, because it looks like right now, at least from what I can tell, it's mostly women watching. The second you feel a man, if you have trust issues or relationship issues, the second you find a man boring, that's the guy you want to pay attention to. Because the guy that's intriguing you, that gives you butterflies and all that, you've just picked your ideal trauma partner. Run. Unless both of you are willing to do the work. I mean, that's okay too. You can pick your trauma partner. You just have to both be willing to heal your own wounds separately. If you want all that, it's called intensity. It's not love. We've been told it's love, but it's not. Yeah, see, Rana loves love. Rana's a love addict. And so it's not actually love that you're after, Rana. It's something called intensity. And what you chase doesn't allow love to happen. It actually gets in the way of it. Rana, you have to come to the speech on September 13th. You'll learn all about this, and you'll get the information so you stop picking men that are abusive. And you'll learn how not to be abusive to them as well, because both sides are abusive to each other. People think that if you're the loving one, you're less abusive. No, both sides are very manipulative. Both sides are very damaging. They're just unaware of how their damage is created. Neither side is better or worse than the other. It's a codependent dynamic that every single person on this planet goes through. Yeah, Ron even says true. So Ron, I really encourage you to go to Eventbrite and type in the Greatness Movement and get a ticket for the event on the 13th. It'll really help you. See, a lot of people aren't ready to make changes in their life. They get too much out of relationships failing. There's being the victim is we get so much attention. I mean, no offense. Look at right now, I'm giving Rana a ton of attention. Now, I don't want to call you out, Rana, but maybe Rana won't even come to the speech. Well, that would tell me she's not ready to grow. And that's okay. But she's getting so much attention from being victimized, it's working for her. Because everyone I don't know if any of this is true, Rana. I'm trying to use your situation to draw a parallel. This happens all over Facebook. I get these private messages all the time. People writing me, wanting me to tell me how bad their life story is. And I ask one question. They don't want to do the work. They just want me to buy into their victimhood and support them in it. Well, I don't. They post on my wall, everything. I will not feed their addiction to victimhood. It's not loving. It's not kind. I won't abuse them that way by allowing that treatment to go on. And so I just don't buy into it. And so again, Ron, I'm not saying this is you. I'm just using this as an example so people can understand how this works and why, if sometimes you reach out to me and you play the victim, I may not respond the way you want. That's why I'm loving you. I won't hurt you. I'm building trust because I'm not going to buy into the game that you're trying to suck me into. So some people want to stay in that victimhood because they could get people like me to sit there and try and fix the problem. Well, Why would they want to fix the problem? I'm giving up my valuable time to tell them what to do. The second they fix the problem, they don't have my valuable time. So where's the incentive to fix it? See, they got conditioned because as a child, remember I said earlier, as a child, their trust was broken. They were used emotionally. And so they think that's loving, is to be the victim. That's how they got attention as a child. So they're repeating that pattern, and they're looking for me as an authority figure who might be like their father or mother to re-victimize them. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to join in the abuse they've already suffered. I'm going to stop that pattern. So I've had people literally delete me as friends because I won't do it. They all of a sudden, they don't say it, but I know by that action, they no longer see me as friendly. And that means they have decided they want to stay stuck. Well, good for them. I guess that's where they are right now. So I don't have an issue with it. I don't judge them. All right. Remember, call me if you want to be entered in the chance for me to make you dinner. Just call me on Skype. If you have a topic, if you want to talk about trust or something else, by all means, give me a call. So getting back to the trust issue, what's happening is as a child, our reality is stolen, okay? Like, for instance, you see or hear situations like this all the time. Parents will be in the middle of a fight, and a 4, 6, 8, 10-year-old kid comes in and goes, "Mom, Dad, why are you fighting?" And mom or dad turns to, "Oh, no, we're not fighting. Just go play." Wait, I just saw you fighting. If that's not a fight, what is it? So they've taken their reality and twisted it. Now that child doesn't trust. They don't trust what they see and experience. So I've had several conversations in the last couple of weeks with women who got cheated on repeatedly, and it was right in front of their face. Like, now they can see it. They tell me, "I saw this," and all these different things. Well, the reason they didn't see it and act on it, it tells me as a child, their reality was stolen from them. And so even when it's right in front of their face, they choose to deny it because they got trained from less than nurturing parenting to not trust what they see and experience. Okay. So if you're not trusting somebody, it has nothing to do. There's someone else I know, severe emotional abuse and sexual abuse and religious abuse. Well, when you go through things like that, how could you ever trust your judgment on anything? Because these are people you're supposed to have all your trust with. So you're still stuck in that inability to trust not only yourself, but those around you. So what happens is we're combining two things. We're combining society, which has raised us to believe that there's a perfect relationship out there. Hey, Shirley, good to see you. We have this fantasy that we've all been raised with through TV, movies, everything, that there's this fantasy love relationship out there. And that's the ideal we should be shooting for, that a man or woman is going to meet all of our needs and drop their life and always support us and never lie to us, always be honest. I mean, let's face it, every love story movie ends that way, where the man or woman comes back and supports, So you have that false dynamic. Then you match that with the false dynamic of parenting, where they break our trust repeatedly, sometimes on purpose, most often inadvertently, on accident. And so what happens is we are fooled. We are fooled internally and externally throughout our life in both ways. We're fooled to believe that there is a perfect partner out there that will never break our trust. And we are fooled by our parents who will set rules and then break them right in front of us. I've told the story of my dad. We were not allowed, 4 kids within 5 years of each other. We were not allowed to fight, or if 2 people were fighting, no one could join. I was having a conversation with my mom, a little heated. My dad comes in and says, "Stop it. Stop talking to your mother that way." And I brought up, "I thought you said if people were arguing, everyone else stay out of it." And he said, "I don't care, just stop it." So my dad right there just took my reality from me. He broke his own rules. He lied to me. He was dishonest. He broke my trust. That happens non-stop in parenting. Parents get overwhelmed, exhausted, and they just say, "Shut up." They will break their rules. They will break our trust all the time. They say, "I'm going to do something," and they don't follow through. Maybe it's a legit reason. They got hung up at the office. I don't know. But we are constantly having our trust broken as children. And more often than not, we are being told by our parents to be honest and trustworthy and all that, and yet we watch them and they're not. I watched my dad playing golf. I watched him completely give himself away to another man. My parents belonged to a country club, and my dad, for some reason, felt this man was somehow special. And so I watched my dad completely change right in front of my eyes. I lost trust in my father when I saw my father give himself away and become less of a man to try and impress this person. He went overboard to be nice. And, that's one of the ploys we all use. Most of us, where our trust has been broken, probably Rana, again, I'm just using the example you brought up. Most love addicts, they're incredibly nice. They go out of their way to help somebody, to get them to love them, but it's a pure manipulation. That's what my dad was doing. My dad taught me to be a love addict. He showed me right in that moment, give yourself away, be overly nice to try and manipulate somebody into doing business and liking you. He broke my trust in that moment. And that happens nonstop to us as children. So is there anyone out there who's listening that's had a similar situation? Rana, would you like to call in and talk more about the situations you've been through? Just call me on Skype and you'll be entered in the chance for me to make you dinner. Just look up Kenny Weiss and give me a call. I'd be happy to talk more about it. And if there's parts in that where I can help you, by all means, bring it up. Hi, Janice. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, by all means, call me on Skype. I'm happy to help you. Okay. So we have 2 things going on so far. One, no, actually, Rana, it's an inappropriate. Rana just typed in, it's a need for love. It's not manipulation. That's what's incorrect. As love addicts, we think it's a need for love, but the way we go about it is manipulative because of the way we were raised. So we don't realize that our attempts to find love are manipulative and self-destructive. We are, because of the models we've been shown, like Rana, I believe you. In your heart, you fully believe you want love, you want intimacy, you want a great partner. I know that you believe that. It's not disingenuous at all. But because of what you've been through, what you think is love is a massive manipulation. Because of what you've been through, there's a distorted reality as to what love looks like and how it behaves. And that's why I was suggesting that you come to the speech on the 13th so you can learn those dynamics, so you can see for the first time, oh my God, I had no idea. Like, I had to go through this too. I thought I was the nicest person in the world. I just wanted someone to love me, and I didn't. I was trying to suck the life out of somebody. So if you want answers to that, Rana, if you truly want to love somebody and be loved, come to the speech on the 13th, because the way you're going about it now will not create it. It can't. It's a false premise. So I'll leave that decision up to you if that's something you're at a place in your life where you want to pursue that. But right now we have 2 dynamics so far in place that we've talked about. The first one is that in childhood, That's where our trust was broken. And that gets carried out into our relationships now. We are reliving, searching out, and seeking the exact same untrustworthy partners that our parents were. Okay? The second thing that's going on that doesn't allow us to trust is we are in a false reality. Okay? I mean, our reality was taken as children, and now society has given us a false reality through movies, TV, song, everything. They've given us this dynamic of what love looks like, and it's not love at all. It's pure codependence and love addiction. And so we aren't in reality as to why we don't trust and as to what a real relationship looks like. One of the ways we are not in reality is, one, most likely we're in denial that our parents even broke our trust. We're in denial that the relationship dynamic that we pursue is a problem. We still want to hold on to the belief, the fantasy that we've all been sold. So there's massive denial going on in this whole dynamic. Not because we're bad, but again, because we don't teach any of this stuff, so we're completely unaware. That's the whole point of the greatness movement. The whole point of my book is to educate people, because we don't talk about it, and we don't have the right information to overcome it. Now, the difficulty is, here's where we get into one of the problems, is we don't want to change. For the most part, we don't want to, because like I saw a bunch of viewers drop off once I brought up the whole part about love being a fantasy, TV, movie, and all that. The viewership went boom, drop. They don't want to hear it. They want to hold on to that false persona, the false reality of what love looks like, because to do the work, they'd have to look at themselves. That's change. No, I don't want. And you hear it all the time, people, oh, I want it. Well, I've just told several people how to get it. You would think my phone would be blowing up with people signing up for the speech. If they wanted it, they would get it. They buy my book, they do all these different things, but they don't. So it takes a long time, usually more divorces, more pain, excruciating pain, for somebody to start going and doing something about it. So until they're ready to face that pain, there's not much you can do about it. And so that's why, like I was saying earlier, people who reach out to me, and they keep trying to suck me in, and when I show them the dynamics they're in and they keep arguing back with me, then I just stop, because they don't want to hear it. They want to stay stuck because they've developed a false persona, which they had to survive as children when their trust was broken. They developed a personality type to cope with the dysfunctional relationship that they had with their parents. And so when I point that out to them, they come up, no, I'm this, I'm that, that's not me. No, because they're trying to defend it, because that's all they know. And so they're like, wait a minute, I don't want to go do that work, because if this isn't me, they make excuses for it, even though I can clearly show exactly how it's working in their life. And they have evidence through divorces and failed relationships that what they think of themselves and what they think they're doing is true love. They have nothing but proof. And yet they want to hold on to everything they're saying. They're in massive denial, and I can't help that person. They're not ready for it. And so for me to spend my time on that would be damaging to them and unloving to them, because I would be doing exactly what was done to them in the past. Okay, so that was the other piece we already talked about. All right, hey, Marianne, thanks for tuning in. If you want to call and talk, I know one of your posts, you talked about trust and recovering from relationships. If you'd like to call me on Skype and talk a little bit more about it, if there's any part of it I could help you with, by all means, give me a call. I'm happy to help you. If that's or it's any other topic, and that goes for anybody listening. If any of you want to talk about a different topic, by all means, give me a call. I'm happy to help you. Okay, so we talked about the two dynamics. Childhood we we get taught a false reality. Then society, through movies and songs and everything else, gives us a false reality, and gives us the belief that people will be trustworthy, and always will be. Hey, Cindy, thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to call the show with any questions, just call me through Skype. I'd be happy to help you. And how, because of that false reality, what happens is, hey, Tanya, good to see you. If you'd like to chat, give me a call. If when we go through those experiences, now we can sit in front of people cheating right in front of us. Okay, I did that. My second wife totally did that, and I just blew it off. I made allowances for it, and we all do. And so I could say she broke my trust. Baloney. We all know what's going on. We just don't want to admit it. So that's on us. The third piece that, hey, Linda, thanks for tuning in. The third piece we have to recognize as to why we can't trust people is, and this is the one, we'll see how many people drop off the show when I bring this one up. All right. The third reason we can't trust people, or we pick people who aren't trustworthy and break our trust in relationships, is because we don't trust ourselves. We're the problem, not them. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Because you pick them. I don't care how many times you've been divorced. I don't care how many relationships you've been in. I don't care how many times they've cheated on you. I don't care what they've done. You pick them. And so if you don't want to get back in a relationship, I see it all the time on Facebook, everywhere I go, in idle conversation. Oh, I'm afraid to get in a relationship. I don't trust people. Well, it has nothing to do with people. That's a projection. The person you don't trust is yourself, because you've for years been picking these type of people. That's on you. Again, remember earlier I said a lot of people, they don't want the answer. I mean, I've just come up with, hey, let's just a second here. Tanya's calling. Hey there, Tanya.
Hey,
How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. We got it working. All right. We got all the issues working. So why don't you tell us a little bit about trust in your life? And are you struggling to trust men, or where are you on that?
Definitely. Both of my ex-husbands cheated. So, and I probably don't trust myself. I can't trust myself to trust them. So
tell me more about that.
Well, they cheated for a number of years, and I was just a co-inhibitor, I should say, because I just let it happen, and I knew it was happening.
Why? Why did you like? It was
just because it was easy. It was easier. It was familiar. It was just, just familiar. I mean, I just let it happen just because it was stable for my family.
Stable.
I didn't want to disrupt the family.
Okay.
So you just let it happen, and then finally, you just get tired of it.
Why did you? Yeah. What made you finally get tired of it?
Kids were gone. I'm not getting younger. I just finally said I'm just had it.
Yeah.
He didn't want to pick me up from an airport trip when I came back in town, and he says, "Make it red eye, and I'll pick you up." And he didn't do it. And he was sitting at the house, and he says, "You just find your own way." And I'm like, "I'm done." Yeah, I just walked in. I'm done.
Tanya, can you turn the music? Can you turn the music or TV off in the background?
Is it loud? I can't.
Yeah.
I have a grandson, so it's like, hang on. Let me hit it for him, see what he says. There.
So, okay. So you now the question becomes, do you want to find the answer?
Oh, yeah, of course I do. I want to, you always want to find happiness, but I think you have to get over those trust issues before you can do that.
Okay. So then let me ask you, how did you said that you knew what was going on? It was familiar, right?
Correct.
And it was easy.
Very.
So tell me how it was familiar in childhood. What did it mirror?
All the signs of the first marriage, not wanting to eventually sleeping in the same different rooms type thing.
Okay, so as a
You know,
child,
but say, hey, we work different shifts. I don't want to bother you.
okay, and so
Just those excuses.
okay, and so how did your parents make excuses? How did they do the exact same thing?
They were totally, my father was a stay-at-home, and my mother never was home.
Okay.
Ever. Like days at a time, she'd be gone, and I'm like, wow. And you just you thought that's how it was supposed to be. But the opposite in my relationships, my dad just dealt with it.
So he did the same thing you did. Your mom most likely was cheating and a sex addict. And so you picked male sex addicts who cheated. You stayed home, took care of things like your father, and you married your mother. Now, how did they respond? Did you ever see your dad respond to your mother, any of their fights or anything like that?
Sometimes you heard yelling, but my dad was pretty just mellow. Like he was the opposite. He just, he was a homebody, and he just dealt, he cooked, he just thought, I think he just thought it was just easier not to get upset over it.
And so you made the same choice. It's easy. Did you hear the words you just used?
Yeah.
Easy.
And the familiar, easy.
Easy, familiar. And so do you see, this is what people don't realize is I heard, that's why I went down the road I did. I heard two things, familiar and easy. So that's why I started asking. I wanted you to be able to see what was familiar and easy, so you could see that you're not even living your own life.
No, you're living what your parents did. Yeah, exactly.
And this is what scares people about change.
Exactly. I've done some big leaps in my life. It was familiar, easy. I worked the same job for like 19 years, and then just like almost 5 years ago, I just said, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do something different.
Yeah.
Even though it was familiar and easy. I mean, not so much easy, but I didn't have the courage to jump.
So did you hear what you just said? Did you hear what you just said?
I didn't have the courage. Yes.
No, something before that. You said, what got you into trouble?
Easy.
Familiar and easy.
The familiar part of it.
If you, obviously.
Constantly, if I keep going for the, easy and familiar area, I need to avoid that. Exactly. I need to take a risk. I need to do those things. I know. I could tell myself that in the mirror. You need to trust again. Of course you do. Because you're never, ever going to get anywhere if you can't trust yourself or another person.
Yeah, it's about experimenting.
Correct. Exactly.
Just experiment. And instead of, one of the mistakes people who don't trust make is, they start looking immediately for a love interest. Just go make a friend with a man. See if you can enjoy his company without falling into the love addict dynamic of, oh my God, he's a savior, he's the one. And just see if you can be around
I've come to the terms where I don't think there is a one. I've come to terms with that. I was just like, I don't know.
That's possible.
Been married twice.
That's a choice.
You might not have the one. They say you have your soulmate out there. I really don't believe that.
That's a red flag. Anyone who says I'm looking for my soulmate is looking for pure codependency, and they're a love addict. So run.
And so run fast.
Yeah, that's a when you see that all the time, Facebook, everywhere else. I'm looking for my soulmate, or dating profiles. That person is not in reality. They're not capable of a relationship. So you need to run.
Correct.
Or that's not true. I don't want to brand people that way. If they are ready to deal with the codependency, if they're ready to do the work and recognize that that's a false premise, then okay, as long as they're willing to do the work. But if they're not willing to do the work, then if they've done no personal work, or if they've done personal work and they still think there's a soulmate, they're in such denial that you'd be better off probably looking for somebody else. So, so it sounds like to me where you're stuck is, have you read my book yet?
I have not. It was supposed to ship, and it shipped to my old address. I just moved, and it's supposed to be forwarding here.
Okay.
So
all right.
I ordered it on Amazon. So
okay. Well, when you get it, the chapter on shame, what you're going to discover is, you know, what you're struggling with. You know the answer. You know that comfort and easy are trigger words and things you actually need to stay away from. They're what I describe as the false persona that we adopt to survive the trauma we go through in childhood. So I'm not telling you to skip ahead, but when you read the shame chapter, you're going to understand how to start combating that so the real you can come out, who can learn to trust. And right now what's happening is when you go look for relationships, you're 4, 6, 8, 10 years old, bringing that person into a relationship and reliving your father's existence. The adult you's not there, and that will help you move through that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you're ready to move through it.
Yeah, I know. It's you know, I've been divorced a year, so it's just it's all just new.
Well,
they didn't.
If you've just been divorced a year, give yourself time. I mean, that's another thing. People bounce right back into relationships. That's another huge sign of love
and I
addiction.
keep saying I'm just not. I don't really want to get married again. I mean, I've tried it twice, and for a long time I say I'm the common denominator in there.
Yes.
Because I've failed twice.
Yes.
Both times I've filed for the divorce.
Yeah.
So it's not working. Marriage won't work for me.
Well, I wouldn't say marriage. See, that's one of the things we do is we then project it away from us. What I'd encourage you to do is the relationship model I continue to choose doesn't work unless I'm willing to change the relationship dynamic and do the work on me. That type of dynamic I'll never pursue again. If I heard someone say that, it'd be like they're in reality. They're recognizing, okay, I'm the problem, and maybe it's like, look, I just don't want to do the work. Okay, fine. Then stay out of relationships and all that.
But stay single.
Yeah.
If you're not going to work on yourself, you might as well just stay single.
Because the bottom line is, until you go back and clean this stuff up, you're just going to pick the same thing over and over. And
exactly. Both my exes were the same, sign. They were the same sign as my father. Go figure. And they both were uniform, and I'm just like, okay, I got to stay away from that. Maybe that's what I'm drawn to. My dad was in the military, and same sign as both my ex-husbands.
Yep. So you basically,
I basically, yes, but I mean, married the dad, but not the dad attitude.
Yes.
Yes.
You picked aspects of both parents to try and relive exactly what you went through in childhood. It's what everybody does until they do the personal work. They'll do, and so they complain about, I can't trust anyone. I know people are bad and marriage is bad, and all. It has nothing to do with that. It's about us. We have to do the personal work. We have to, if we want a relationship, we have to go dig into our issues.
All eventually don't want to die alone. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You do want that, the give and take happiness, where you're both putting everything you have into it.
Yeah.
And you've already worked all your troubles out. And that's out of the relationship now. You are it's about you guys. Technically, I mean, if they say, I never want to be with anybody the rest of my life, they're lying. You don't really want to die alone.
What that means And
To me, I think, but
well, what that tells me,
mhm.
if someone says, I don't want to trust again, I don't want to love again, whatever, what that tells me is they have decided not to love themselves. It has nothing to do with other people. They've made a commitment that I will not live a loving and nurturing life towards myself if they choose not to do the personal work to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how
That's the
anybody
reality.
could say that. I mean, I do say I don't want to get married again, but I'm not saying that I don't want happiness and I want to live eternally, with someone else. But it's just, it's lying if I said I want never ever to do any of it.
Well,
that's just lying to myself. Yeah.
I would encourage you, if you don't want to die alone, to dig into the personal work. So I'm gonna hang up and see if anybody else. I really appreciate you're entered though, Tanya. You are the first entry for dinner. So congratulations. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe no one else will have the nerve to call, and you'll be the only one I make dinner for. We'll see. But you are entered. All right. I really appreciate you calling.
Hey, you have a good evening.
You too. And thanks for being vulnerable. I appreciate you sharing a little bit of your story.
No problem.
When you do that,
you got to work a little at a time. If you can't talk about it, then you just might as well not work on yourself. If you can't talk about it, that's the first part of trying to correct it.
And the other thing is,
say it out loud. You got to say it out loud.
And the other thing is you give other people permission to do the same thing. So thank you for doing that for them.
All right. You have a great day.
You too. Take care. Okay. Appreciate Tanya calling. If there's anybody else, we have about 10 minutes left. I'd be happy to take one more call. But with only 10 minutes left, I'm going to flip it or kind of move into solutions. Just kind of like I was going down the road with Tanya there. The only way you're going to ever have a good relationship is you have to go back and repair what you went through in childhood. That's the only option you have. And if you're not willing to do that, then like I said earlier, you've chosen not to love yourself. That's the truth. And, I'd mentioned this earlier when I did that podcast a couple weeks back. The secret to a relationship is you have to be willing to do personal work. That's it. Until you can have a relationship with yourself, you can't have a relationship with anybody else. So if you're struggling with trust, either inside your relationship or you're single and struggling dating, abandonment is tough to repair. Yes, Marianne, again, that's all about personal work. We have to go heal that abandonment and reparent ourselves. But staying out of a relationship because we fear abandonment is us abandoning ourselves. That's the whole point. When you stay out of the pursuit of a relationship, you're staying out of a relationship with you. It's not about the other people. That's what's so frustrating about this. Everyone's, I'm not going to let that happen to me. What you're really saying is, I'm not going to love me. That's what you're saying. You've made a choice to treat yourself unlovingly. It's not about the other person. And unless you commit yourself to doing personal work, you are going to really struggle in life, in every area of your life, business, relationships, everything. The other thing you have to do is you have to forgive yourself, because she just said it. Tanya said it. She heard a voice. She had a voice inside her head that she ignored because it was easy and comfortable to stay. She was worried about this disruption with kids. She knew all along, she said it herself, that they were cheating. We all know from day one who we're sitting across from. We have a voice. But because of our traumatic childhoods, we blow it off. They're so hot. They're so this. They're so that. And we, like she did, she made concessions. And so we make concessions just like we did as children, exactly the same. And we have to recognize that voice and how we make concessions and we have to forgive it. The only way we can do that is to go back and clean up the childhood stuff. We have to become aware of how we are literally acting like children in relationships. And until we see that, you know, the problem will always repeat itself. Finally, the other thing is we have to flip our definitions. I see this all the time when something so-called bad happens. People think, you know, life situations are bad. You give me one situation, any, and tell me what it was bad. I can, in a couple questions, I can show you how it was great. Nothing in our life is bad. Look at what we learn from it. Look at all the people that come to support us when something so-called bad happens. It's, what do we all say? What does every success model out there say? You know, it's all based on your failures, right? You learn from your failures, go fail. There's nothing in life that's ever bad unless you choose to quit, you know, unless you choose to stop loving yourself. So yes, Janice, evoking a lot of emotions in me. It breaks my heart that there are solutions. And because of the trauma we've suffered, people don't want to do the work. They want to hold on to their false persona and think this is me. They want to stay in their pain because they fear an imagined pain of what it would be like to do the work. But every client, every person I've ever had, even in my life experience, that working a program, working a solution isn't pain. It's uncomfortable. Sure, there were times where I spent hours bawling my eyes out, but it felt good. Pain, pure pain, are the people who are holding on to their false identities, who won't do the work. That's pain. That's pure pain. And I see the reason it evokes so much emotion from me is, like I wrote in my book, everybody is literally paper thin. I forget, my producer reminded me, I drew a circle last month and people listening on the radio can't see my paper. But literally, I'm holding up a piece of paper. We are that far away from our greatness. The thickness of a piece of paper. We're that far away from a great relationship, from a great career, great parenting, everything. And we don't want to do the work. And that breaks my heart. We want to stay stuck. And we don't have to. But that's the societal system, and that's the cycle that I talk about in my book, that society, it's a universal problem. Everybody listening, everybody watching this show is stuck in this cycle. It is everybody. Nobody escapes it. It's a life dynamic we all live by, that several people have said, oh, change is hard. It's challenging. It's because of the cycle I describe in my book. And it's a dynamic that we all pursue. We literally choose to re-victimize ourselves over and over and over. And we don't need to, but that's what we're stuck doing. And so many people, you know, chatting tonight, offering comments, that's the exact same place they're in. They're stuck. They don't want to let go of the false persona. They want to believe they're this type of person and things happen to them because they're this type of person. But that's not true. Let's see. Yes, Janice, that's right. Janice is commenting, it's been taking me an entire week or more to do just one page of work. That's how it goes. Janice, I think if I remember right, you're over 40 years old. Well, think of it. You've been living a false life, a false persona for over 40 years. Do you think it's reasonable to expect in 1 week you'll turn that around? It's not. I've been working on this hardcore for 15 years, and I'm still a train wreck. Now, I have a lot more things figured out than I used to, and I'm at peace most days. But I know that feeling, Janice, where you're working your tail off and you don't think anything's changing. But that's because you can't see it. Here's what you have to realize about the process of the work. I want you to imagine a clock, okay? Well, think of a clock. 60 seconds goes around pretty quick, right? If you just watch it. But the way the process of recovery from all this works is, imagine one tick of the clock taking a week, okay? 1 second takes a week. Well, what happens is you don't even notice that one page of work, Janice, made a massive shift in your life. You don't even see it because it took a week for 1 second to tick. What's going to happen is you're going to wake up in 6 months and you're going to go, oh my God, that second hand is way over here. I didn't realize how different I am. It happens so slowly and so subtly. That's why just keep going. Okay? Yeah, Nicole says, I have to say this. This is funny. She goes, I'm getting a PhD in psychology and I'm still a shit show. We all are, Nicole. Every single one of us. Every single one of us is a train wreck. The difference is most people have no clue what a train wreck they are, and they're unwilling to do the work, and they're miserable, and that's what's keeping them from what they want. And that's okay. I guess that works for them. I just know I've yet to see anybody find peace, be able to trust themselves. It's not about trusting other people, and have a good relationship unless they made a commitment to daily doing the work of cleaning up the trauma we've all suffered, everybody. So I'm going to wrap it up here. If any of you listening are struggling in any part of your life, I urge you, especially if it's relationship oriented, to go to Eventbrite right now, type in the Greatness Movement, and sign up for the speech on September 13th if you're in the Phoenix area. It starts at 6:30 p.m. All the information is there. Even if you're in a great relationship, if you want to make it better, come. You're going to learn things that will help you develop an even deeper relationship, because none of us are taught how this works. If you don't live here in Phoenix and you're ready to do something with your life, please buy my book. In my book, I give suggestions of other books that you must read. They're part of the process that I read, the work I did. I really encourage you, do the work. It's just discomfort. What you're living in is pain. The fear of doing the work is pure hell and pure pain. Your fantasy of what doing the work looks like is a fantasy. This is just discomfort. And this eases as you do the work. All right? What is true hell and true pain is staying stuck and not doing the work. So please pick up my book at Amazon. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I especially want to thank Tanya for calling in. She is the first person who's registered for me to make dinner here at my house. I encourage you every week, call me, pick a topic. If there's anything else you want to talk about or want help with, please private message me anytime on Facebook with topics you care about or anything going on in your life. It may give me a show topic, whatever I can do to help. Please get in touch with me. Don't be shy. Remember how I started the show? It doesn't bug me. That's what I'm here for. Okay? So please reach out to me. If I'm busy and don't respond, or maybe I'm tired and so I put up a boundary and I don't respond right away, I'm just loving myself, but I'm not rejecting you. All right? So, but by all means, reach out to me in any way you want so I can help you. Remember, this is very important. When we see greatness in others, all we're ever seeing is the best version of ourselves. We're seeing the greatness that lies within us. If you want to pursue your greatness, please join the Greatness Movement. Go to my website, www.thegreatnessmovement.com. Join one of the groups I have where you can learn all the skills and tools to walk in your greatness. Please buy the book, Your Journey to Success. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just type in Kenny Weiss. I have, over 100 videos there on different topics. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm always posting things. It's free information. save and like my Facebook page here. Share the videos, spread the word. If you have people in your life who are hurting, share this show, get the message out. Let's help as many people. That's the point of the greatness movement, is to go beyond just me. Let's create a shift in society. Let's do it together. If you're looking for individual counseling or coaching, you can reach out to me directly through my website. It's www.coachkennyweiss.com, or just call me at 480-729-3270, or send me an email, kenny@coachkennyweiss. All right, everybody. I really appreciate all of you tuning in and watching the show and sharing your thoughts and opinions. And we will see you next week. And we need those hula dancers.
I can do anything. I can reach any goal today. I can do what I want. I can be what I want to be.
Coach on Fire Radio.